Hey guys, it's January 12th, almost 7:50, and I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts on Superman the Man of Steel movie that came out almost a year ago, and by the time I upload this to Facebook, it'll be probably the time when it turns 1 year old. So for 365 days, this movie has held a cloud over my head. I've been flip-flopping opinions like crazy, if you know me from Facebook, but I'm not really a fan of this movie, but I'll tell you why. First of all, some reviews I have read, some reviews I've listened to over the last year, really hit the nail on the head of what exactly is wrong with this movie. But I'll get to that in a minute. I went into this with an open mind. I wanted to give this movie a fair shot. After all, Zack Snyder hasn't disappointed me since his last movie, which was Sucker Punch, which was an atrocious piece of shit. It should never be viewed by human eyes. Watch Filmbrain's review of that with Jezro Taco if you want like a better understanding. But some people I've been listening to and watching over the last year include Red Letter Media, Geekvolution, Oliver Harper, Spill.com, Comic Book Cast, Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, all that stuff. Even Nostalgia Critic and Joe Vargas. This camera, it's a little bit of a pain, I'm sorry. And they all have varying opinion. I mean, Jeremy Johns seems really adamant about the film. Stuckman, the last review I saw, which was a couple days before watching Man of Steel, which is something one should never do, is watch a review before watching the film. He very much liked it. And Spell.com seemed to like it. Red Letter Media called it a celebration of access. And I'm going to give you my 2 cents, but I'm just going to tell you what happened. This is not written, I do have some notes here, but it's not pre-written. This is just me in front of the camera, just giving my opinions about the 1 year anniversary of Man of Steel. By Zack Snyder, written by David S. Goyer, or we'll get to him soon, and Christopher Nolan, who seems kind of I know that he said he wanted to write something with Goyer about Superman, but it seems like he was hoodwinked in to just give his blessing of Man of Steel like the public. So, it's funny how opinions can change on a movie. So, where do we begin? I'll give you a recap of the story of Man of Steel. Infant Kal-El is sent from Krypton to Earth to battle General Zod. Okay? And I almost forgot the cast list. We got Henry Cavill as Clark Kent, Kal-El, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Michael Shannon as General Zod, Kevin Costner as Mr. Maybe, aka Jonathan Kent. You know, that's something. I know. God, I'm sorry. It's a stupid camera. What you do that camera? I know that Kevin Costner. Let's talk about Kevin Costner, okay? In my notes, I have flawed human who almost indirectly suggests that Clark Kent should take um, indirectly assumes that Clark Kent should not use his superhuman abilities to help mankind. To not help mankind. Well, I'll tell you something, Mr. Kent. I know you're supposed to be portrayed as like a wisdom figure from the '78 movie to the Smallville TV show to virtually everything. Now, I know this is supposed to be a more realistic and grounded take on Superman, which, okay, it's okay for what it's trying to. It really wants to. It really wants to try and be one of those movies where it'd be like, we're not overcompensating. We're telling you how it is. That Superman's the best thing since sliced bread. That Superman is infallible as a character, because people who don't get Superman don't get Superman in this film. Superman's awesome. Superman like punches shit and beats up like the villains from Krypton and all that stuff. It seems like they're really truly overcompensating. People could say it's like a Michael Bay approach to Superman, where he's like an avatar for like the people to go on this joyride with him, being a hero and all that stuff. Okay, and Costner delivers his lines. I know he's Kevin Costner. I know he's not trying so hard. I kid. I love Kevin Costner. It's just a joke. But Costner doesn't seem to understand that there's more sides to, or the writer, David Goyer, doesn't seem to understand there's more than one side to Jonathan Kent. It's more than just exposition for the sake of exposition about Superman's destiny. It'd be like, you were made here for a reason, son, and you're the answer as to if we are, as to which we are alone in the universe, Clark. Oh, and we're running out the cast list. I'm sorry. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. I very much liked him as Perry White. Didn't get a whole lot to do, but he seems like a great guy. He seems like a hero, even though evacuating people that already seem doomed seems kind of a dumb move for him. And Russell Crowe as Jor-El. Let me talk about this. Russell Crowe as Jor-El has to be the best idea someone could have thought of for Jor-El. He seems very alien because he's not only played by Russell Crowe, who does seem like he's from another planet at points, which some can almost say the same about Nicolas Cage, but we're not here to talk about Nicolas Cage and Tim Burton. We're here to talk about Russell Crowe and Jor-El, and how awesome he is as Jor-El. When he comes back in the second act, or in the beginning of the last third of the first act, when he finally finds the fortress or the scout ship, buried 100,000 years ago, and somehow the computers still work. But that's you gotta suspend disbelief for some movies like this. And I'm rambling, which I don't want to ramble. I just want to get this done. But rambling is a necessary part of my process of how I do this. So you got Russell Crowe as Jor-El. And when he finally shows up again, he finally provides all the necessary exposition we already know about Krypton exploding, Krypton's whole system of like order, including like growing children in Genesis chambers with the codex as like the DNA, the lifespan of Krypton, like in his skull. We already know that, but Russell Crowe seems to fit the whole exposition very nicely, and he does the physical stuff very, very well. He encompasses he's more of a hero in some points than Superman is in this movie, but we will get to that eventually. Once I'm done rambling. Which is something that's odd. How can... Okay, they say that Kryptonians are supposed to be bred for one purpose. Like, one can be a scientist, one can be a... I'm sorry. One can be a scientist, one can be a scholar, one can be a architect, a soldier, all that stuff. So, what's to stop Jor-El from learning how to fight and defeat Zod's trained forces? Trained forces against a scientist. That would be like if Nostradamus somehow learned to fight and defeat several armed soldiers while speaking of like terrible apocalypses coming through. So anyway, okay, the planet Krypton is doomed. Russell Crowe sends Kal-El, baby Kal-El, infused with the Codex, which seems like another way for Zod to get in. Which seems like a plot object just for Zod to seem to be after Kal-El. Which, okay. So, the rocket goes off thanks to Jor-El, and he dies. Zod and his cohorts are infused in penis-shaped objects. Penis-shaped objects. And a lot of this whole anatomy of the spaceships and designs of Krypton are very sexual. The House of L's house, very redundant. Jor-El's home. The spaceships, even the scout ship is very phallic at a point. The scout ship has like openings that you could look for. It's whole science fiction and sexual imagery, you know, H.R. Giger stuff. Anyway, Clark lands. So Clark is fired off in a rocket, lands on Earth. We cut to a flashback. We know that Clark has had a troubled past in Smallville. He was being bullied, abused by Pete Ross, and Pete Ross is apparently Copper Cab, and he saves all these kids from a whole incident involving a bus. And in a scene very reminiscent of Smallville, except for Clark was hit by a car when he first met Lex Luthor. But anyway, and then we get to the infamous scene where he says, "Should I have let them die?" And Mr. Maybe says, "Maybe, maybe." I know Jonathan Kent's supposed to be more realistic in this point, but it's not. It just doesn't resonate for me. It just seems like, wow, you want to protect your son, granted, but how are they going to take him from you if he's virtually Superman? There's no kryptonite. There's nothing there to take, to kill, and to cut up Clark Kent the way Jonathan Kent is suggesting to him when he first saves Copper Cab Ross. I got fast forward some stuff in my mind. Okay. Next thing we get is Clark Kent being humbled at a bar fight involving some drunk prick in Canada. And through this, he hears of a spaceship encased in the Antarctic. Now, instead of the Thing, he decides to go there himself as a drifter who conveniently meets upon Amy Adams' Lois Lane as a tough independent woman who still has to be saved most of the time, like mine. Sorry. It's got that nostalgic Superman is Batman song in my head. That's how long I've been watching his review about Man of Steel to get more insight of what he's talking about, and I can understand what he's talking about in this movie. It's just the lyrics seem to work for me. Anyway, Lois Lane decides it's a great idea to go wandering around the Arctic all alone with a camera, and inside the scout ship, Clark uses his heat vision very, very nicely in effect. Where he goes in there, there's more penis-shaped Kryptonian robots in there, and he comes across a console with it comes across a console which activates the robots in the scout ship, which somehow find. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Somehow find Amy Adams, and she's taking a photo, and she gets whipped back, and Clark comes, crushes the robot, and heals her with heat vision. Okay, some scenes later, some scenes with Lois and Perry where they talk about, do you know how badly this news could affect the world? And Lois is adamant about finding her protector, which she still doesn't know is named Clark Kent, which anyone can tell is Clark Kent. You know, this movie seems... You see how uninteresting I sound? That's how uninteresting some of this movie is. It's just... It has good ideas, but the execution of it is just baffling. It seems like it's been sucked out of all its life. It's like someone took Superman and just stripped away all the fun elements of him and just grounded him in some kind of depressing reality where it's just not as engaging anymore. And one of the best scenes in the movie, I will say, is the flying scene with him learning to fly. After he comes across AI Jor-El, he finds a suit encased in a 100,000-year-old spaceship. A 100,000-year-old spaceship has his Superman suit. And he learns how to fly. He comes across Lois Lane. She tells him about how important it would be if he just came forward and revealed himself as a alien. But he rebuttals with a funny story of how Mr. Kent died. And Mr. Kent died in a tornado. In a tornado. No, son. Don't come any closer. You can't super speed. You can't super speed in a scene to save Mr. Kent from a twisted ankle. He was trying to free a dog, and his ankle got twisted in a car. And instead, he allows himself to be taken before Clark Kent in a very, very campy way. It should be noted that the music and the editing and the visual effects all okay in this movie. The score by Hans Zimmer, it does his job accordingly. Sure, he maybe is reusing some Batman footage. No, he may be reusing some. I'm sorry. He may be reusing some cues from Batman, but it does its job, and it does acquire a decent theme to Superman. The whole dun 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 dun. It's no John Williams themes, but it's a decent Hans Zimmer score. Okay, I gotta fast forward through some stuff here. So, Superman, goes to the military to be taken in because General Zod just happens to have a device that allows him to hack into global communications and through Kryptonian liquid metal T-1000 technology is able to send out a message from, "My name is General Zod. I've come from an ocean of stars and tried to find the last Kryptonian. Kal-El, I say these words. Surrender within 24 hours, or watch this world burn." And we see, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry about this. We see, Superman surrender himself. He has a nice scene with a general, or the major, yeah, it's Harry Lennox. Yeah, Harry Lennox is a general. Christopher Maloney from Law and Order is the colonel. The obligatory colonel guy, he's not like all angry all the time. He has like some modicum of personality. He shows up along with Lois Lane as convenience the plot. But, okay, and here we go. And this is when the movie starts to kind of lose me at that point. Because I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking it's okay. It's got a decent pace. It's got some interesting stuff. It's not altogether all thought out accordingly. I kind of missed the whole romance with Lois Lane and Superman. You know, it just seems kind of tacked on in this film just to shoe in more Lois Lane, which I was happy at the time, because a more aggressive Lois Lane and a more like independent Lois Lane. Yeah, I like that. I've liked it. Here comes Michael Shannon Zod. I will find him. And basically he wants to transform Earth into New Krypton using I'm sorry, I skipped over this. Zod and his cohorts were imprisoned in a device known as the Black Zero, which somehow suspends them in space using something called a Phantom Drive in the Phantom Zone. So somehow they've managed to reconfigure the Phantom Drive into like a warp core or warp engine or something like that, and they traveled all the outposts that Krypton used to have. Krypton used to expand, like Rome. Basically all the plants, all the war engines, all that. Jesus, I'm so sorry, guys. I can't stop yawning. I'm sorry. It's been a long day for me. Basically, all the planets that Krypton once considered like sectors of the whole galaxy are now dead, barren, lifeless, and they find. I'm sorry, they don't find. They find a world engine that they procure for later parts in the movie. And so, Lois Lane gets help from AI Jor-El, who she has this little command key. It's right here. It's a little USB drive. There you go. It's even got the little Superman logo on it. There you go, right there. It has the Kryptonian USB includes a copy of Jor-El, which updated to Zod's ship, and basically allow Lois to escape, allow Clark to be free. And this is where all the movie starts to go way downhill. The unbelievable Jesus imagery is too much at points. I know that it's subtle in some points, like some people have said, but no, that's just crowbarring it and hitting you in the head. It's not very subtle. And then in comes all the Dragon Ball Z fights, which on the surface are very, very good in terms of action, and its effects gone crazy. It's Zack Snyder ramping up his Snyder senses and going full Van Devil on everything. You want to see Superman fight? Superman can fight all the time. He can fight Theora, Not Non, or the big Prometheus dude who's like 9 feet tall. And my camera just fell again. I'm sorry. I fix this thing. And basically the destruction of Smallville, which amounts to like several thousand property damage and probably deaths, and I don't. Why does it bother me more here than something like Transformers? And I can thoroughly explain that. It's because Superman is a responsible hero. He's not an angry, emotionally challenged being like he is in this movie. He just seems like the worst superhero ever. But like, if you had Superman here, and if you had the Punisher here, and which one would you choose to save you? I don't know. The one who goes through like a building and probably injures you with all the debris, or you choose this one, the guy who probably will shoot the bad guy in the head. I'd pick the Punisher. The Punisher over this Superman, because aside from all the cool Dragon Ball Z fights and all the product placement, it does make me want to go to Sears and IHOP. There was an IHOP down the road, and once I got there for like the first time a couple months ago, I'll be like, is Superman gonna come in there and destroy the IHOP? And then Theo talk about survival of the fittest. She's talking Darwinism to him, and she's only been on the planet for like a couple hours. So anyway, the fight ends, and I should note that most of this damage, it is Superman's fault, but it is also the military's fault, because this thing like missiles at the Kryptonians, and they're causing much more destruction than probably him. But he's ranking up destruction too, like throwing like the big Prometheus dude like into a train track that's probably like full of it's just excessive amounts of collateral damage, because Superman just equals collateral damage to many people, right? Because Superman just rushes throughout the whole fucking thing. Yeah, he just plows through buildings to save like one person. He probably should have ran, should have X-ray vision, should have planned a little ahead, because Superman is not a dummy in the comics. People always make that assumption, like Frank Miller, and he's not. He's a very smart person, but you won't be able to tell from this movie. This is a terrible introduction to Superman as a character. Okay, and now on to the final 30 minutes of this movie. Uh, the Black Zero arrives in Metropolis. And alongside the other end of the Earth, the Indian Ocean gets invaded by the World Engine in Zod's "Release the Kraken" Liam Neeson line. And people are always bitching about what it's. And here's something I can't explain about this movie. Why did Superman just go to Metropolis and stop that? Because it released the Black Zero and the World Engine create a sync which can equally, which can terraform the entire planet, and thus, if he goes to Black Zero first in Metropolis, the gravity would distort him, and he wouldn't be able to get a clear shot, much like the military, in which they send like 2 choppers, of course, with Christopher Meloni. They send 2 or 3 choppers in there with missiles to shoot down the place, but obviously they haven't learned jack shit, because this military is not as incompetent as the military in Godzilla, but it's damn near close. It's like a race. And so anyway, the Black Zero sums up, goes with Metropolis with the power of dubstep, releases energy beam after energy beam, like almost drilling through the earth, almost penetrating the earth, as it were. Meanwhile, Superman's having a very kind of hard to see fight with the World Engine, which can simulate tentacles, and it can also it's pretty powerful to stop him as well, because he goes down into the World Engine, and it's shooting like a beam to him, and it's like, stop you, World Engine. And so Metropolis it's fucked. It's fucked up the ass. It is butt fucked beyond belief. Just cityscapes are like barren wastelands and ash in this. And Superman finally gets enough strength to blow up the World Engine in another good moment. And with the World Engine dead, the Black Zero malfunctions, of course, and Zod is taken out by Clark in his scout ship, and Clark destroys him with the heat vision and sends a plower through some more buildings. And just become numb to all the violence in this. So he saves Lois, of course, because the Phantom Drive and Clark's ship can somehow create a sync involved with his ship and the Black Zero, which can somehow send the Kryptonians under Zod's rule into the Phantom Zone. So they're all gone, and along with Christopher Meloni and some other people, Lois is sucked out. Superman saves her in another cool shot with him like fighting to not get sucked up, and he like, and Black Zero is gone. Along comes the final fight with General Zod. So, General Zod and Superman have a big fight, and what do you think? Buildings destroyed, people dead, Superman's flying through buildings, so is Zod. Sorry. Zod can fly now. and they fly up in the atmosphere. They crash a satellite down into the ash field in Metropolis, and Clark and Zod go into a looks like to be Grand Central Station in New York, but it's actually Metropolis, aka. Anyway, sorry, I'm not saying anyway, but I said aka. Sorry. So Zod has his heat vision pointed. I'm really sorry, guys. Zod has the heat vision planted directly at some people, and he says, if you love these people so much, you can work for them, or you can die for them, or something. And Zod is aiming the heat vision Goldfinger style at all these dumb people. And Superman, in response to this, instead of freezing him or doing anything else, snaps his neck. Which I heard allows Zod to win because Clark can never take another life again because he'll be reminded of Zod, but I call bullshit. The script by Goyer is just, it's full of holes, man. You see how stupid some of this stuff sounds? It's just, Goyer can write dark characters like Blade and Constantine and stuff like that. I don't know if he wrote the script for Ghost Rider, but I hope to God he didn't, because all I see is Mark Steven Johnson's name on that, with help from David S. Goyer. I don't know if his script was butchered, or did they just turn it down because it was just stupid. I don't know. Goyer can write Blade. He can write Batman. He cannot write Superman. His writing on Superman is so... it's bland, man. And besides the neck snap, which is just unpleasant, it really feels like someone's seriously overcompensating Superman by saying, hey, Superman's awesome, he kills, Superman plows through buildings, yeah. Fuck that. Superman is a person who should not kill. Superman is above killing all these people. He is hopeful. He can believe in second chances. If someone like Zod, maybe not. If someone like Lex Luthor, maybe not. But for other people, he gives them a chance. He's about hopeful. And this Superman is not about hope. This Superman is about death and destruction and just unpleasantness. And in the next scene, the dramatic weight of him snapping the neck is just forgotten. It's just a stupid comedy scene with him like destroying a spy satellite. Which, yeah, he destroys the spy satellite, and I'm going to trust him with any nation's security, and that's the end of the movie. He goes to the Daily Planet, he tries to set up for all that stuff, and I don't know how much longer it's been, like 6-7 months, 2 years, I don't know. We don't even get a scene of Superman cleaning up. Cleaning up a destruction he helped cause with his fight with Zod. So overall, this movie has some good stuff in it. This movie's casting is pretty good. Henry Cavill is a decent Clark Kent. He's an okay. He looks the part of Superman. If he was given strong material and a better director, maybe he would be on par with Christopher Reeve, or maybe on par with Tom Wanley. Lois Lane is good as Lois Lane. Amy Adams is good as Lois Lane. Everyone does a good job. It's just that the script is full of crap. The exposition scenes are dragging way too long. The fight scenes are boring. Yes, there are some fun stuff to see with purely on like a kid's level of watching like from Dragon Ball Z or watching a super explosive cartoon fight, but well, that's all I gotta say. I don't have any. It seems like DC is just saying, well, Superman sucked. Let's crawl in Batman Justice League. It's not how it's done. And this has been the 1 year anniversary of Man of Steel. If comment below, let me know if I missed something. Cause I'm pretty sure I missed some stuff in the script. Because thinking about the movie just isn't really my cup of tea. I just don't want to think about this movie a lot for a very long time, for probably a couple months or something. Well, that's about it. I got nothing. This is really depressing talking about this movie. Thank you for watching. This is Joe signing off.